Today, we're diving into one of the most puzzling mysteries of the Bible, the sons of Moses. Moses, the great leader of Israel, is remembered for parting the Red Sea, receiving the Ten Commandments, and leading his people to the Promised Land. His influence is undeniable. Yet there's a lingering question that few have dared to ask. What happened to his sons, Gershom and Eleazar? Unlike Aaron's sons, who became prominent priests, the children of Moses seemingly vanished from history. Why weren't they part of Israel's leadership? Was this an intentional erasure, a divine plan, or simply a case of being overshadowed by others? Could their fate hold deeper spiritual lessons for us today? In this video, we'll uncover the hidden significance of Gershom and Eleazar, their roles in biblical history, and why they disappeared from the spotlight. If you've ever felt overlooked or unseen, this message is for you. Before we begin, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share this with your community, church group, family, and friends. Your support helps us continue spreading the Word of God and uncovering the lesser-known truths of Scripture. Now, let's explore this fascinating story. Who were Gershom and Eleazar? The story of Moses' sons begins during his exile in Midian. After fleeing Egypt for killing an Egyptian taskmaster, Moses found refuge in the house of Jethro, the priest of Midian. He married Zipporah, Jethro's daughter, and they had two sons, Gershom, named because Moses felt like a foreigner in a strange land, Exodus 2:22. His name symbolizes Moses' alienation and separation from Egypt. Eleazar, meaning God is my help, commemorating Moses' divine protection when he fled from Pharaoh, Exodus 18:3-4. While these names hold deep spiritual significance, the Bible tells us very little about their lives beyond their birth. Unlike their uncle Aaron's sons, who became high priests, Gershom and Eleazar seem to fade into the background. Moses, the legendary leader of the Israelites, is renowned for parting the Red Sea, receiving the Ten Commandments, and leading his people out of Egypt. His name echoes throughout the Scriptures, solidifying his legacy as one of the most pivotal figures in biblical history. Yet, despite his towering presence in the narrative of faith, an important question lingers. What happened to his sons, Gershom and Eleazar? Unlike the descendants of Aaron, who went on to establish a prominent priestly lineage, Moses' sons remained largely absent from the biblical spotlight. Their names are mentioned, but their roles seem overshadowed, leaving many to wonder. Did they fade into obscurity? Or is there a hidden significance to their story? Could their lesser-known journey hold profound lessons about faith, service, and God's divine plan? In this video, we will uncover the fascinating and often overlooked legacy of Gershom and Eleazar. We will delve into the biblical clues surrounding their lives, their significance, and the reasons they never rose to prominence in the way we might expect. You'll discover surprising insights about God's timing, His purpose, and the deeper meaning behind serving faithfully, even when unnoticed by the world. Perhaps you felt unseen, unappreciated, or stuck in the background of life's grander story. If so, this episode is for you. The story of Moses' sons will challenge and inspire you, revealing that even those who serve behind the scenes can play a crucial role in God's greater plan. Stay with us as we unveil why Gershom and Eleazar were not in the spotlight, how their hidden legacy still impacts us today, and powerful biblical lessons that will encourage you to embrace your unique role in God's kingdom. Before we dive into this rare and thought-provoking biblical account, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this message with others who love discovering the hidden truths of the Bible. We also encourage you to drop a comment below with your thoughts. We'd love to engage with you and grow in wisdom together. The hidden story of Moses' sons, Gershom and Eleazar. The story of Gershom and Eliezer begins during a pivotal chapter in Moses' life, his exile in Midian. This period was a defining moment for Moses, shaping him into the leader God would eventually call to free the Israelites from bondage. After fleeing Egypt for killing an Egyptian taskmaster, Moses sought refuge in the land of Midian, where he encountered Jethro, the priest of Midian. He married Jethro's daughter Zipporah, and together they had 2 sons, Gershom and Eliezer. The Bible first introduces us to Gershom in Exodus 2:22, which states, "Zipporah gave birth to a son, and Moses named him Gershom, saying, 'I have become a foreigner in a foreign land.'" The name Gershom is deeply symbolic, derived from the Hebrew root word meaning sojourner or foreigner. This name reflects Moses' profound sense of displacement and alienation during his years in exile. Once a prince in Pharaoh's palace, Moses had been reduced to the life of a wandering shepherd in a foreign land. The stark contrast between his past and present reality is encapsulated in his son's name, a constant reminder of the emotional and spiritual journey he was undergoing. Later, in Exodus 18:3-4, we learn about the birth of Moses' second son, Eliezer. One son was named Gershom, for Moses said, "I have become a foreigner in a foreign land," and the other was named Eliezer, for he said, "My father's God was my helper. He saved me from the sword of Pharaoh." The name Eliezer, meaning God is my help, commemorates God's divine protection over Moses when he fled from Pharaoh's wrath. Unlike Gershom's name, which reflects Moses' struggle with exile and identity, Eliezer's name is a testament of faith and divine deliverance. It serves as a powerful reminder that despite the challenges and hardships Moses faced, God was guiding and safeguarding him. Why didn't Gershom and Eliezer rise to prominence? Unlike Aaron's sons, who became central figures in Israel's priesthood, Moses' sons never inherited a leadership role. This absence is puzzling, especially given Moses' immense influence. When God called Moses at the burning bush in Exodus 3, Gershom and Eliezer were still young. Moses, feeling unworthy of the divine mission, set out to return to Egypt with his family, as described in Exodus 4:20. So Moses took his wife and sons, put them on a donkey, and started back to Egypt. And he took the staff of God in his hand. Although this verse highlights their presence at a crucial moment in biblical history, their involvement remains largely unrecorded in later scriptures. It is likely that as Moses became more engaged in leading the Israelites, his sons were not given roles of authority or prominence within the community. Instead, biblical leadership was passed down through Aaron's descendants, who established the Levitical priesthood. This raises important questions. Was this God's plan all along? Did Gershom and Eliezer live quiet lives away from public leadership? A mysterious and pivotal moment, the circumcision incident. One of the most perplexing episodes involving Moses' family occurs in Exodus 4:24-26. At a lodging place on the way, the Lord met Moses and was about to kill him. But Zipporah took a flint knife, cut off her son's foreskin, and touched Moses' feet with it. "Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me," she said. So the Lord let him alone. This dramatic and cryptic event likely involved one of Moses' sons, emphasizing the covenant of circumcision established with Abraham in Genesis 17:10-14. Circumcision was a sacred sign of being set apart as God's people. Moses' failure to circumcise his son nearly cost him his life, but Zipporah's quick action saved him. This moment reveals a deep spiritual truth. Even Moses, the chosen leader, had to fully align himself with God's commands before carrying out his mission. The legacy of Moses' sons, a lesson for us. Today, though Gershom and Eliezer's names do not dominate biblical history, their story carries powerful lessons. God's calling is unique for everyone. While Aaron's sons had a public priestly role, Gershom and Eliezer's purpose was different. Not all who serve God do so in the spotlight. Faithfulness matters, even when unseen. Many believers today feel like they are in the background, unnoticed or uncelebrated. The story of Moses' sons reminds us that being faithful in the small things is still significant. God's timing and purpose are beyond our understanding. Gershom and Eleazar may not have led Israel, but their existence still played a role in Moses' personal journey. In the same way, we may not always see the purpose behind God's plans for our lives. As we reflect on their story, we are reminded that every role in God's kingdom is valuable, whether seen or unseen. If this video has blessed you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others who love uncovering biblical mysteries. And remember, God has a purpose for you, even when you feel overlooked. The hidden role of Moses' sons, Gershom and Eleazar, in biblical history. Throughout biblical narratives, individuals chosen by God, like Moses, were expected to strictly adhere to his covenantal laws. Their leadership carried profound spiritual significance, shaping the destiny of Israel. However, one intriguing aspect of Moses' life is the relatively obscure role of his sons, Gershom and Eleazar, despite their early involvement in his journey. Why did they fade into the background, while their father remained one of the most prominent figures in biblical history? Several key reasons may explain their limited visibility in the unfolding story of Israel's Exodus and beyond. The primacy of Aaron's lineage, one major factor contributing to the lack of emphasis on Moses' sons, is the divine appointment of Aaron and his descendants as the official priesthood of Israel. This was a role of immense responsibility, requiring absolute dedication to sacrificial rites and the spiritual guidance of the nation. As stated in Exodus 28:1-3, God specifically commanded Moses, "Have Aaron your brother brought to you from among the Israelites, along with his sons Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar, so they may serve me as priests." Aaron's sons were entrusted with the sacred duties of priesthood, performing essential rituals in the tabernacle and later in the temple. This exclusive focus on Aaron's lineage likely limited the prominence of Moses' sons, preventing any ambiguity about spiritual leadership within Israel. By ensuring that priestly authority remained within Aaron's family, God maintained a clear distinction between Moses' prophetic role and the priestly duties of Aaron's descendants. The unparalleled leadership of Moses' role in Israelite history was truly unique. He was not only a prophet, but also a divinely appointed mediator between God and his people. Unlike royal or priestly roles, which were often hereditary, Moses' leadership was singular and irreplaceable. The Bible explicitly emphasizes this distinction in Deuteronomy 34:10-12. "Since then, no prophet has risen in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face, who did all those signs and wonders the Lord sent him to do in Egypt, to Pharaoh and to all his officials and to his whole land. For no one has ever shown the mighty power or performed the awesome deeds that Moses did in the sight of all Israel." This passage highlights that Moses' position as a prophet was unparalleled. His authority was not something that could simply be passed down to his sons. Unlike the dynastic tradition seen in kingship or priesthood, prophetic leadership was based on divine selection rather than familial succession. Thus, Gershom and Eleazar were not automatically granted leadership roles simply because they were Moses' sons. Possible return to Midian. Another factor that might explain their limited presence in the biblical narrative is the possibility that Gershom and Eleazar returned to Midian with their mother, Zipporah. Exodus 18:1-6 recounts how Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought Zipporah and their sons to reunite with Moses at Mount Sinai. Now Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard of everything God had done for Moses and for his people Israel. He had sent word to Moses, "I, your father-in-law Jethro, am coming to you, with your wife and her 2 sons." This account suggests that Moses' family was separated from him for a significant period. Given the immense challenges and hardships of the Exodus journey, it is plausible that Zipporah and their sons remained in Midian for an extended time, thus reducing their direct involvement in the defining moments of Israel's early history. The legacy of Gershom and Eliezer in Israelite history. Although Gershom and Eliezer did not play a prominent role in the Exodus narrative, their lineage continued to serve within Israel's religious structure. 1 Chronicles 23:14-17 provides insight into their descendants. The sons of Moses, the man of God, were counted as part of the tribe of Levi. The sons of Moses, Gershom and Eliezer. The descendants of Gershom, Shubael was the first. The descendants of Eliezer, Rehabiah was the first. Eliezer had no other sons, but the sons of Rehabiah were very numerous. Despite their lack of visibility in earlier scriptures, this passage affirms that their families remained active in the service of God, continuing the Levitical tradition. Unlike Aaron's direct descendants, who were appointed as priests, the broader Levite community, of which Moses' descendants were a part, was responsible for essential tasks such as maintaining the tabernacle, guarding the sanctuary, and assisting in religious ceremonies. The Levitical duties of Gershom and Eliezer's descendants. The Levites, including Gershom and Eliezer's lineage, played a vital role in supporting the priesthood. Numbers 3:5-9 outlines their responsibilities. The Lord said to Moses, "Bring the tribe of Levi and present them to Aaron the priest to assist him. They are to perform duties for him and for the whole community at the tent of meeting by doing the work of the tabernacle. They are to take care of all the furnishings of the tent of meeting, fulfilling the obligations of the Israelites by doing the work of the tabernacle." This passage underscores that while Aaron's lineage had the exclusive right to perform priestly duties, the Levites, including the descendants of Moses, were entrusted with essential supporting functions. Their service ensured the proper functioning of Israelite worship, even if their roles were not as publicly recognized as those of the priests. The line of Gershom, Shubel's role among Gershom's descendants, Shubel, also spelled Shubel, is specifically mentioned in 1 Chronicles 23:16 as the first of Gershom's line. His name reappears in 1 Chronicles 24:20, where he is noted among the leaders of the Levites. As for the rest of the descendants of Levi, from the sons of Amram, Shubael; from the sons of Shubael, Jehdiah. Although not part of the priesthood, this reference suggests that Gershom's lineage maintained leadership within the Levitical order, continuing to contribute to the spiritual life of Israel. The line of Eliezer, the growth of Rehabiah's descendants. Eliezer's lineage, though initially less documented, saw significant expansion through his son, Rehabiah. 1 Chronicles 23:17 specifically mentions the sons of Rehabiah were very numerous. This suggests that over time the descendants of Eliezer flourished within the Levite community, carrying on the responsibilities assigned to their lineage. While their individual roles are not detailed extensively in the Bible, their growing numbers imply that they played an integral part in the ongoing maintenance of Israel's religious system. Although Gershom and Eliezer did not inherit Moses' prophetic mantle or take on highly visible roles in Israel's history, their legacy endured through their descendants. While Aaron's line took center stage in the priesthood, the broader Levitical community, including Moses' lineage, played a critical role in supporting Israel's worship and temple service. Whether due to divine appointment, practical considerations, or historical circumstances, the limited presence of Moses' sons in biblical narratives does not diminish their contribution to God's chosen people. Their descendants continued to serve faithfully, ensuring the spiritual and ceremonial life of Israel remained strong for generations to come. Throughout biblical history, the lineage of Eleazar experienced remarkable growth, establishing itself as a significant presence among the Levites. Although they did not necessarily hold the highest titles or attain positions of supreme authority, the sheer expansion of their family highlights the divine blessing of fruitfulness upon them. The chronicler's emphasis on their proliferation sets them apart from many other lineages that dwindled over time, reinforcing the idea that their endurance was a manifestation of God's favor. This blessing closely aligns with the promise given in Genesis 22:17, where God assured Abraham, "I will surely bless you and make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as the sand on the seashore." While Eleazar's descendants did not achieve the rank of high priests, their increasing numbers allowed them to serve in critical roles within the Levitical community. They likely took on essential responsibilities, contributing to the structure and administration of temple duties, ensuring the stability and continuity of Israel's worship practices. Their steadfast dedication played an instrumental role in preserving the sacred traditions that defined the Israelite faith, demonstrating that even those who serve in the background contribute meaningfully to God's divine plan. Similarly, the prominence of Rehab's descendants is underscored in the Chronicles, where their continued multiplication is highlighted. This starkly contrasts with other families and tribes that over generations declined in number and influence. Such a distinction serves as a testament to the fulfillment of divine promises and the ongoing manifestation of God's covenantal blessings. A key distinction made in Scripture is the deliberate separation between the descendants of Moses and those of Aaron. Aaron's lineage was divinely chosen to occupy the priesthood, a position of immense spiritual leadership, responsibility, and privilege. Unlike Moses' descendants, who were integrated into the broader Levitical service without receiving special recognition, Aaron's sons were appointed specific priestly functions and honored accordingly. This division is made explicit in 1 Chronicles 24, where the priestly courses of Aaron's lineage are detailed meticulously. These were the divisions of the descendants of Aaron. The sons of Aaron were Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. But Nadab and Abihu died before their father did, and they had no sons. So Eleazar and Ithamar served as the priests. 1 Chronicles 24, 1-2. This passage underscores the divine selection of Aaron's sons as the central figures in Israel's priestly order. The deaths of Nadab and Abihu further solidify Eleazar and Ithamar's pivotal role in carrying forward the priestly legacy. Their appointment serves as a reminder that God's callings are distinct and often do not align with human assumptions about inheritance, status, or prominence. Although Gershom and Eleazar, the sons of Moses, may not have been widely recognized figures in their time, their lineage and contributions hold great significance. Their legacy serves as a profound reminder that God's purpose is not confined to human expectations. Often, those who operate behind the scenes play indispensable roles in the unfolding of divine history. Their story teaches us that not everyone is called to be in the limelight, yet each person's journey remains vital to the fulfillment of God's grand design. This lesson is particularly evident when we examine Ecclesiastes 3:1. There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. This verse reminds us that God's plans unfold according to His perfect timing, even when they do not align with our personal desires or expectations. Gershom and Eleazar were precisely where God intended them to be, fulfilling the roles He appointed for them within the grand narrative of Israel's history. In a similar vein, Romans 8:28 offers a reassuring promise. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to his purpose. Just as Gershom and Eleazar were woven into the tapestry of Israel's history as faithful servants in supporting roles, so too does God weave each of our lives into his greater purpose. We may not always comprehend how our actions fit into his divine plan, but that does not diminish their importance. The absence of visible recognition in the present moment does not negate the impact of our obedience when it aligns with God's will. Although Gershom and Eleazar were not widely celebrated figures, their descendants remained dedicated to serving God within the Levite community. This enduring legacy underscores the profound truth that faithfulness today can yield blessings for generations to come. Our commitment to walking in God's ways may not always be recognized immediately, but the seeds of righteousness we plant can flourish long after we are gone. Psalm 112, 1-2 encapsulates this enduring truth. Blessed are those who fear the Lord, who find great delight in his commands. Their children will be mighty in the land. The generation of the upright will be blessed. This passage reaffirms that a life lived in devotion to God does not go unnoticed. Even when individuals do not receive immediate acknowledgement, their faithfulness carries forward, influencing generations and fulfilling God's divine will in ways beyond human comprehension. Ultimately, the story of Eleazar, Gershom, and their descendants serves as a powerful reminder that God's callings, blessings, and purposes often operate in ways that transcend earthly recognition. Whether in the foreground or background, every life devoted to God plays a crucial role in his eternal plan. The legacy of obedience. Gershom and Eleazar's hidden significance. Psalm 112, 1-2 declares a profound truth. Blessed are those who fear the Lord, who find great delight in his commands. Their children will be mighty in the land. The generation of the upright will be blessed. This passage emphasizes a fundamental biblical principle. Those who fear, revere, and obey God leave behind a lasting legacy. Their faithfulness extends beyond their own lifetime, shaping future generations in ways they may never fully see or understand. The blessings of righteousness are not only personal, but generational, impacting descendants who walk in the path of obedience. Take, for example, the sons of Moses, Gershom and Eleazar. Unlike their father, whose leadership was recorded in great detail, these men do not hold prominent positions in the biblical narrative. However, their role in the service of God and the spiritual life of Israel remains significant. They were part of the Levitical service, contributing to the priestly work that sustained the nation's covenant relationship with God. Though history does not spotlight them, their faithfulness played an essential role in upholding the spiritual foundation of Israel. Their story is a reminder that faithfulness is not measured by recognition, but by obedience and devotion to God. God's justice in acknowledging every act of service, it is easy to wonder. Does our work matter if no one notices? Does a life of quiet obedience have meaning? The answer is found in Hebrews 6:10. God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him as you have helped his people and continue to help them. This verse is a powerful reassurance that every act of service, no matter how small or unseen by human eyes, is noticed by God. He is just and does not overlook those who labor in his name. Gershom and Eleazar may not have received human recognition, but their faithfulness was recorded in eternity. Many people today struggle with feeling unnoticed, especially in a world that often equates value with visibility. But God's justice is different. He sees what others overlook. Whether we are teaching, serving in our communities, raising families, or working behind the scenes, nothing is wasted in his kingdom. Gershom and Eleazar's story reminds us that God values obedience over fame, and those who serve him faithfully, even in obscurity, are fulfilling a divine purpose. The example of Moses. A calling greater than recognition, Moses, despite being one of the greatest leaders in biblical history, faced immense trials, doubts, and periods of isolation. He understood firsthand that God's calling is not about human recognition, but about fulfilling His will. Similarly, his sons did not rise to positions of fame, but that does not mean their lives were insignificant. Philippians 2:3-4 reinforces this idea: do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others. This passage calls us to a life of humility and service. It challenges us to examine our motives. Are we serving for the sake of being seen, or are we truly seeking to honor God? Gershom and Eliezer's quiet dedication to their roles exemplifies this principle. They did not chase after titles or prominence. Instead, they fulfilled their God-given purpose with humility and faithfulness. Their story serves as a powerful reminder that greatness in God's kingdom is not determined by worldly standards, but by a heart devoted to His service. God's perspective on significance. The world often defines success through status, influence, and outward achievements. However, 1 Samuel 16:7 reveals a different perspective. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. This verse reminds us that God's evaluation of our lives is based not on external achievements, but on our inner devotion and obedience. Gershom and Eliezer, though not widely celebrated, were part of God's chosen people and contributed to His divine plan. They remind us that our worth is not found in public recognition, but in our faithfulness to God. Many struggle with the feeling of being insignificant when their efforts go unnoticed. But the lives of Gershom and Eliezer encourage us to find purpose in the roles God has assigned to us. Even when our work is unseen, it is never unimportant in God's eyes. The impact of faithfulness often extends far beyond what we can see, influencing future generations and shaping the spiritual legacy of our families and communities. True fulfillment comes from obedience, not status. In today's world, where status and visibility are often glorified, the story of Gershom and Eliezer stands in contrast. They lived lives of obedience rather than ambition. Their legacy teaches us that fulfillment comes not from seeking personal glory, but from aligning our hearts with God's will. Jesus Himself modeled this when He chose humility over earthly prestige. He washed the feet of His disciples, served the broken, and lived a life dedicated to the Father's mission. True significance comes from walking in obedience to God, even when it means working behind the scenes. Where did the sons of Moses disappear to? So what happened to Gershom and Eliezer? Why are they not as well documented as other biblical figures? While their story may seem hidden, it carries a profound message. God's purposes are not always about being seen. Their legacy is subtle but powerful. It speaks of God's faithfulness and the importance of living in obedience to His call. Their absence in the biblical narrative is not a sign of insignificance, but rather a testament to God's unique plan for each of His people. Whether in the spotlight or the background, every person has a role in God's greater story. As we come to the end of this powerful study, let's reflect on the hidden significance of Gershom and Eliezer. Their story reminds us that God values faithfulness over fame, and that not every divine purpose is meant to be in the spotlight. In God's eyes, every act of obedience is significant. Hebrews 6:10 reassures us, God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown Him as you have helped His people. Their legacy is a testament to the power of serving God humbly, even without recognition. So what about you? Are you willing to embrace your role in God's kingdom, no matter how visible or hidden it may be? If this video has blessed you, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share this with your church group, family, and friends. Let's continue uncovering the mysteries of the Bible together. Drop a comment below and let us know your thoughts. We love engaging with you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode of Bible Stories.